The series begins with an episode of a reality dating show featuring a contestant named Zoe, who has reached the final stage of the competition. The show's concept is that a male contestant, the show's main star, must choose among the participating women to find the most suitable one to marry, and this is the final round. Zoe is very optimistic and feels confident that they're about to end up together, but the man shocks her when, as soon as the episode starts, he publicly announces that they're not compatible and that he can't continue with her. Zoe breaks down and starts smashing things in the studio, and because of all this, the episode goes viral, making everyone aware of their story. The public's mockery of the incident drives Zoe into deep embarrassment, so she decides to live in isolation until people forget what happened. Coincidentally, the place she chooses is near the boarding school she attended in high school. About 6 months pass as Zoe settles into her secluded new life, until one day, while she's quietly admiring nature, she notices her dog acting terrified. When she tries to approach him, he runs away, and at that same moment, birds begin flying rapidly in one direction. Soon after, cracks start appearing in the ground and water begins gushing out. Panicking, Zoe grabs her phone, which she keeps only for emergencies since she doesn't want to communicate with anyone, and finds hundreds of unread messages. She ignores them and checks the weather reports instead, discovering that the sea level is rapidly rising. Authorities are urging people to head to the highest ground nearby, which is the safest place under these conditions until things become clearer. Zoe decides to go to her old school because it was built on the city's highest point. She gets in her car and drives there quickly. Meanwhile, the girls from Zoe's class are already gathered at the school, celebrating the 10-year anniversary of their graduation. We see a woman named Genevieve talking with another woman named Amelia. Genevieve is revealed to be the one who organized the reunion, since she used to be the class leader back then. Amelia takes the opportunity to ask whether Zoe will come, and Genevieve replies that she sent her an email invitation but never got a response. The two stand together, looking at their former classmates and reminiscing about their school days. Genevieve points to a woman named Saskia, who is now an independent businesswoman with a successful company. Shortly after, another old friend named Sandy arrives. She's now a social media celebrity, obsessed with her looks and fashion brands. She's joined by 2 others. The first is Teresa, who just wants the party to end so she can go home to her husband. Her biggest dream is to become a mother. She's tried several times to conceive naturally, but failed, and she and her husband are now considering IVF. The second is Renee, who mentions to Sandy that she currently works as a nail artist, but Sandy mocks her for having such a basic job. Embarrassed, Renee decides to lie to the rest and hide her real occupation. Later, she meets another girl named Phoebe and pretends to be a doctor, claiming she absolutely loves her work. At that moment, Zoe arrives at the school, and everyone rushes to greet her, asking about the details of what happened on the show. But Zoe isn't really paying attention to them. She's confused about why they organized a reunion party without telling her. Genevieve tries to justify herself by saying she sent Zoe an email, but she never replied, mainly because Zoe had been isolating herself and never touched her phone. Zoe decides to move past it and tells them what she saw: cracks opening in the ground and the water level rising. The girls laugh and assume she's imagining things after everything she's been through lately. Zoe starts doubting herself, thinking maybe they're right, so she goes to the bathroom to wash her face and clear her head before rejoining the party. Staring at her reflection in the mirror, she convinces herself that what she saw was just her imagination. Then Amelia walks in, and we learn that she and Zoe used to be close friends in high school until Amelia suddenly left without saying anything. That disappearance made Zoe resent her, and they hadn't spoken since. They greet each other awkwardly, like strangers, avoiding any mention of the past. Zoe decides to enjoy the party, while Amelia seems ready to leave, but Zoe persuades her to stay a little longer. After that, Zoe goes to find 2 of her old friends, Tegan and Megan, who have slipped outside the party to smoke weed. Zoe takes some from them and heads back inside, where everyone gets drunk and spends the night singing and dancing. In the middle of the party, Amelia decides to go home, but when she steps outside, she discovers the entire surrounding area is flooded. She grabs the microphone and alerts everyone, and they all rush to see what happened, only to realize they're trapped inside the school. There's no way out, and to make matters worse, Tegan and Megan are stranded on a high ledge surrounded by water. Zoe and Amelia volunteer to rescue them. Once everyone regroups inside the school, They start brainstorming solutions. Amelia recalls what Zoe said when she first arrived and realizes it wasn't her imagination after all. The group turns on Zoe, blaming her for not warning them sooner, but she defends herself, insisting she tried and no one believed her. Suddenly, parts of the school ceiling collapse, flooding half the building. Zoe nearly falls into the water, but Amelia saves her at the last second. The next morning, they all have breakfast together in the dining room. Teresa, who had gone to bed early the night before and missed everything, wakes up and is shocked by what happened. The others tell her to eat before the food runs out, then cry afterward if she wants. They start making plans. One group will take the school's boat to look for rescue or anyone nearby who can help. Another will collect first aid supplies and store them in one place. And a third will gather all the food so they can ration it carefully. No one knows how long they'll be stuck there. Since everyone still blames Zoe for their situation, they make her wash the dishes and leave her behind as they head out. 4 of them set off in the boat, including Amelia and Saskia. Amelia starts remembering her school days, and it's revealed that Saskia used to be a bully, which makes Amelia uncomfortable being around her. So, Amelia decides to jump into the water and search for help on her own. Meanwhile, Sandy gathers 2 girls to look for her handbag because it's a very expensive designer brand. She doesn't care about the disaster they're in. She's only upset about her missing bag. They spend hours searching but find nothing. As for Tegan and Megan, they couldn't care less about what's happening. Instead, they collect all the alcohol that had been stored by students years ago and start drinking. A little later, Amelia returns to the school after failing to find any way to get help. She goes to Renee, who has appointed herself as the head of the school's infirmary after convincing everyone she's a famous doctor. Amelia asks her to look for any antidepressants that might have been left behind by former students and bring them to her. It becomes clear that Amelia can't function without them. She also asks Renee to keep it a secret. Then Amelia goes to talk to Zoe, who's busy cutting the school's grass into the shape of the word help, planning to set it on fire so any aircraft passing above might see it. Amelia asks for her help turning on the school's radio so they can try to send a distress signal to anyone nearby, especially since the TV signal is dead and all their phones are running out of battery. The 2 head to the school's only power generator to use it for the radio, but they're shocked to find Phoebe got there first and was using it to charge her laptop. They argue with her and quickly shut off the generator before the power runs out completely. They manage to start the radio successfully, but the generator soon dies, killing their hope of getting a signal out. Meanwhile, Saskia and Teresa are still in the water. Teresa breaks down, longing to go home to her husband and normal life, and Saskia comforts her, assuring her that if they work together, they'll find a solution. Saskia shows leadership qualities and calm experience in handling crises, likely from her professional background. Eventually, they fail to find any help or reachable land and decide to return to the school. Later, everyone regroups for lunch. Renee quietly approaches Amelia and gives her some of the antidepressants she managed to find. Afterward, they start assigning rooms, pairing everyone 2 by 2. Everyone begins to adapt to the situation, except Sandy, who keeps crying over her old life, her followers, and her lost bag that meant so much to her. After some time, everyone goes to their rooms. Amelia and Saskia sit together to talk. Despite their past differences, Amelia asks Saskia to become their leader until they find a way out because she's firm and dependable. And back in school, any team Saskia led never lost at anything. Saskia thinks about it and seems to agree. Shortly after, Sandy sneaks out again to continue searching for her bag, so Saskia and Zoe follow her to help. Sandy eventually gets exhausted and decides to rest in the boat that's docked beside the school. She keeps crying over her missing bag until she grows tired and falls asleep inside the boat. Taking advantage of the situation, Saskia decides to use it for her own benefit. She pushes the boat into the water and forces Zoe to help her. Saskia does it intentionally to get rid of Sandy, believing that her negativity will spread despair among the others and make everyone lose hope. Despite Zoe's objections, Saskia doesn't give her a chance to argue. About a week after Sandy's disappearance, everyone starts to panic. At first, they assume she just went off searching for her bag, but as time passes, they grow more worried, fearing something terrible might have happened. Zoe and Saskia pretend to be just as concerned and join the search, calling out for Sandy everywhere. Later, Saskia gathers everyone, who are all devastated by Sandy's disappearance, especially Genevieve, who's still crying over her. As their leader, Saskia tells them they have other problems that need solving and orders them to move on, assuring them that since Sandy and the boat disappeared at the same time, there's no point in dwelling on it. She notices that the girls are all frightened about what might come next, so she establishes something she calls the emotional release hour, a nightly session where everyone can vent, cry, or express their emotions however they want. The next day, Saskia sits down with each girl individually to learn about their skills and figure out how they can contribute. After many discussions, she comes up with a plan for the coming days. She gathers everyone to announce it and divides them into several groups. One group's mission is to find a solution to the electricity problem, and she appoints Amelia as their leader, stressing that they must fix it as soon as possible, since nothing can function without power. The second group's job is to dig small holes around the school grounds to use as toilets, because the plumbing system has completely failed and the bathrooms are unusable. The members of the second group protest their assignment, but Saskia's strong personality doesn't allow any objections. She assigns Teresa to be in charge of cooking, with the strict rule that no one gets food without Saskia's permission, and appoints Zoe as Teresa's assistant. Another major problem they face is that most of the food is gone, with only a limited amount of rice left. They ask Teresa, as the one responsible for food, to come up with a solution. During the discussion, Genevieve objects and refuses to join either group, insisting she'll continue searching for Sandy instead. Afterward, everyone starts working in their assigned groups. Amelia tries to keep her team focused, but she realizes they're too hungry to think clearly. She goes to talk to Saskia, who shocks her by saying she's withheld food from them until they find a solution to the power issue. Saskia explains that she did it to motivate them to work harder, but Amelia is upset, believing it's cruel and more like punishment than encouragement. Still, Saskia refuses to change her mind. Frustrated, Amelia turns to Teresa for help, but Teresa, following Saskia's orders, also refuses to give her anything to eat. While they're talking, Amelia and Teresa remember how, back when they were students at the school, they used to secretly order food from outside. Since that broke school rules, they had to hide it in a secret spot in the ceiling. Teresa mentions that her cousin currently studies at the same school and said students still hide their food in that same place. So Amelia decides to check the hiding spot herself. She goes there and actually finds some stored food, but she also encounters a strange animal, gets scared, and runs away without taking anything. Meanwhile, Zoe writes a note and places it in the hand of a statue near the school to make it look like it's from Sandy, a farewell message before she supposedly left. She does this on Saskia's orders. But while she's placing the note, she spots the boat's broken paddle floating in the water. Terrified, she quickly hides it and runs to tell Saskia what she found, feeling guilty about what they did. Saskia, however, shows no remorse. She's convinced it was the only solution. She orders Zoe to keep the paddle hidden and to act as if she knows nothing. Around the same time, Amelia returns to the lab and finds her group so hungry that they've caught a rat and are trying to cook it to eat. Amelia is horrified and feels sorry for them, so she decides to take one last desperate step. She goes to Zoe and asks her to talk to Saskia and convince her to change her mind. But Zoe refuses, apologizing and saying she doesn't want to get involved. The two start confronting each other about the past, and we learn that Amelia had suddenly left school without telling anyone, which is why Zoe could never forgive her, because Amelia was her closest friend and left without even saying goodbye. Amelia defends herself, saying she tried to say goodbye, but found out Zoe had become friends with Saskia, and since Amelia and Saskia hated each other, she decided to leave quietly instead. Zoe tries to get her to explain why she really left back then, but Amelia, still hurt by the past, doesn't want to talk about it and walks away. Back in the lab, Amelia breaks down from everything that's happened and apologizes to her team for failing as their leader, saying she can't get food until the task is finished. So they decide to use books from the school library to review what they learned years ago. After many attempts, they finally succeed and manage to generate electricity. As they celebrate with the rest of the girls, Tegan and Megan find the note in the statue's hand. Genevieve reads it out loud to everyone. It's supposedly from Sandy, saying she found her bag, took the boat, and decided to head home. Everyone feels relieved, believing she's safe and nothing bad happened after all. But later that night, Phoebe finds Sandy's missing bag and realizes something's wrong. Sandy couldn't have written that note. She confronts Saskia, but Saskia refuses to admit anything. 44 days pass since they got trapped in the school. During that time, their daily routine becomes gathering every morning in the school gym, where each girl uses a treadmill to generate electricity to recharge the battery. At the end of each day, every girl turns in the batteries she's charged and exchanges them for whatever item she needs, with Phoebe managing the entire exchange process. She's set prices for everything inside her storage room, where she's collected all the items they salvaged from the students' old dorm rooms. Zoe takes a few of the charged batteries to power the radio and send out distress signals. But so far, no one has responded or come to rescue them. The next day, everyone gathers in the gym again under Saskia's supervision. While each girl is running on her treadmill to charge her battery, Laura collapses and loses consciousness. Once they confirm she's still alive and breathing, Saskia orders everyone to get back to their workout. The others are shocked at how cold and harsh she is, but Saskia insists that electricity is the only thing that can save them, and she won't allow anyone to slow down or jeopardize their rescue efforts. After the workout, Saskia sneaks into the principal's office, builds a human-shaped dummy, places it in front of her, and starts talking to it as if it were her therapist, pouring out all her frustrations. It becomes clear she's struggling deeply inside, and that, despite her hard exterior, she has a good heart. We also learn that back in school, she was in love with a teacher named Ryan, who abandoned her and left, and she's never been able to forget him since. While she's talking to the dummy, Teresa walks in, and Saskia quickly hides it, pretending she was just cleaning the office. Teresa explains that the girls are sick of eating the same meal every day and are craving something with protein. Saskia refuses to help, saying it's Teresa's responsibility to find a solution. So Teresa decides to go fishing to catch food for them. That same day, Amelia turns in her battery and asks to exchange it for antidepressants. But Phoebe shocks her by saying the medication supply is running low and that the price has increased from 1 battery per bottle to 3. Desperate for the pills, Amelia decides to train extra hours to fill more batteries. Later that night, Teresa manages to catch 1 fish and serves it to the girls, who are thrilled and thank her for her effort. The next day, Genevieve refuses to join the workout as a form of protest against Saskia's leadership style, thinking this will force her to listen to their opinions. But Saskia punishes her by banning her from food, water, and drink, claiming she's not contributing to generating power like the others. Furious, Genevieve storms out of the gym. The rest of the girls begin voicing their frustrations too, asking Saskia to reduce training to once every 2 days instead of daily. Saskia sees their complaints as irresponsibility, gets angry, and storms off, abandoning the session. Later, Zoe takes Teresa to a storage shed near the school and shows her the boat she's been secretly building for a while. She explains that she's been working on it for some time so that anyone willing to risk leaving can use it. Zoe seizes the moment to ask why Amelia always trains longer than everyone else. Teresa tells her she saw Amelia taking antidepressants and suspects Phoebe has been selling those pills in exchange for a large number of batteries. Zoe is shocked that Amelia kept something so serious from her. While talking, she's holding a long metal rod, and in her shock, it slips and falls on Teresa's foot, injuring her. They call Renee to examine the wound, and she tries to hide the fact that she's not a real doctor. She reassures them that it's nothing serious, and that Teresa only needs to have her toenail removed. They take Teresa to an empty room, but from the pain and exhaustion, she passes out. Phoebe is there to assist Renee if needed, and when Renee starts removing the nail, she accidentally cuts off the entire tip of Teresa's toe, causing her to bleed heavily. Terrified, Renee breaks down and confesses that she's not a doctor at all, that she only lied because she felt she had no choice, and once she started the lie, she couldn't take it back. Phoebe, however, ignores the confession and focuses on stopping the bleeding. Together, they manage to stabilize Teresa's condition. When Teresa wakes up, she's horrified, realizing her injury was minor and didn't require an amputation. Phoebe drags Renee out of the room, and Saskia completely dismisses what happened, coldly ordering Teresa to go fishing to catch food for everyone. Teresa is stunned by Saskia's lack of empathy. Later, Renee talks with Phoebe, asking why she covered for her and didn't expose her as a fraud. Phoebe explains that she understands what Renee feels because all the girls are snobs who only respect people with prestigious titles or degrees. She tells her that when she first got a scholarship to attend the school, everyone treated her as if she were beneath them. At that moment, Saskia arrives and starts arguing with them about what happened to Teresa. We also learn that Saskia had made a deal with Phoebe. Phoebe would stay silent about the bag she found, and in exchange, Saskia would excuse her from the daily training sessions. But because of the argument, Phoebe changes her mind and decides to expose Saskia. She shows the girls Sandy's bag, revealing the truth. Meanwhile, Zoe, feeling guilty after learning what Amelia has been going through, decides to help her generate extra batteries so she can get her antidepressants. The two work out together silently, without mentioning their past. That night, everyone finds out about the bag and immediately concludes that Saskia killed Sandy. The girls become furious and want to punish her, but Amelia steps in, saying they should confirm it first before doing anything drastic. She suggests they go to the school's old punishment room, the one used to discipline students back in the day, and hold a proper hearing there. Inside, They review all the evidence and then vote on whether Saskia deserves to die. Zoe feels crushed with guilt, knowing she's part of the crime too. Yet Saskia is the only one facing judgment. The trial begins under Genevieve's lead. She's the one who hates Saskia the most, and she says she examined the note carefully and realized it didn't match Sandy's writing style or tone. Amelia feels the trial is unfair and argues that Saskia deserves someone to speak on her behalf, someone to represent her side so the truth can come out. Strangely, no one sympathizes with Saskia except Amelia. Despite the hostility between them, Amelia volunteers to defend her. The girls appoint Laura as the judge who will give the final verdict, and Amelia asks everyone to leave her alone with Saskia for a while so she can hear the full story directly from her. While everyone is distracted, Zoe takes the opportunity to secretly steal the letter without anyone noticing. Meanwhile, Saskia sits with Amelia and tells her everything that happened, but refuses to admit that she was the one who left Sandy in the boat. Zoe, on the other hand, takes the letter and decides to rewrite it, changing the words to match Sandy's writing style so she can clear Saskia of suspicion. But she's caught off guard when Phoebe suddenly walks in, saying she saw Zoe and Saskia with Sandy on the day she disappeared. Phoebe offers to stay quiet in exchange for a bottle of nail polish from Zoe's stash. Zoe agrees, begging her not to say anything. The trial resumes, and Genevieve reads the letter aloud to everyone, pointing out how the writing style doesn't match Sandy's. But she's shocked to find that some of the words have changed. She immediately concludes that someone must have stolen and altered the letter, so they decide to dismiss it as evidence, since no one can prove whether it was tampered with or not. Then it's Phoebe's turn to testify. She claims she saw Saskia with Sandy shortly before she vanished, but doesn't mention Zoe's involvement. Amelia interrupts, turning the situation against Phoebe, accusing her of blackmailing Saskia since she found the bag weeks ago, but kept quiet to use it as leverage. The courtroom erupts into chaos as everyone starts arguing. The girls begin sharing stories about how Saskia bullied them back in school, revealing that this is the real reason they hate her and want revenge. It turns out Saskia had tormented every one of them to the point of leaving lasting emotional scars. Many of them still go to therapy because of her. Despite all the accusations, Amelia stands her ground, saying bullying isn't enough reason to condemn someone, and that without solid proof of Sandy's death, Saskia should be considered innocent. Suddenly, Saskia interrupts and confesses. She admits that she did leave Sandy asleep in the boat and pushed it into the water. She begins to open up about her past, revealing that she once had a romantic relationship with their teacher, who loved her deeply, but abandoned her without explanation. That betrayal shattered her and turned her into the person she became, angry, cold, and cruel toward everyone. Returning to the school brought back the old memories and the pain she never escaped. Meanwhile, Tegan and Megan begin seeing strange figures around the school. At first, they assume it's just hallucinations from the drugs they've been using, but soon fear takes over, and they decide to pray in the school's chapel to drive away the spirit. There, they're shocked to find a working bathroom and papers belonging to Genevieve, proving she had been secretly visiting the chapel and never told anyone. They burst into the trial to reveal what they found, and because of this revelation, everyone decides to punish both Saskia and Genevieve together by shaving their heads. Amelia tries to stop them, but fails. While the punishment is being carried out, Tegan and Megan continue chasing what they believe is the ghost until one of them manages to hit it. They're horrified to discover it's not a ghost at all. It's Becky, their old teacher from when they were students. They quickly help her up and learn that she still works at the school and had been staying in her room the entire time, completely unaware of their presence. It turns out she deeply despises this particular class, especially 10 of the girls, because they were the most troublesome, always causing chaos and bullying her relentlessly. Becky gathers the 10 girls together, bringing with her a box filled with letters they wrote to themselves back when they were students. Each girl had written a message meant to be read when she grew up. They open their letters one by one, revisiting their old memories. Phoebe discovers that she used to feel lonely and had wished to have friends someday. She looks around at the group, moved and happy that she finally has people around her now. Zoe finds out that she had written a letter to Amelia, expressing how hurt she was that Amelia wasn't answering her calls. Each girl continues reading her letter until it's Amelia's turn, only to realize she never wrote one because she left school early. Becky takes the opportunity to express her condolences for Amelia's mother's death, saying she never got the chance to do so before. The girls are stunned when they learn that Amelia left school after discovering her mother had taken her own life, and she had to return home to be with her family. Zoe is overwhelmed and runs out of the hall crying. Amelia follows to comfort her. Zoe is upset with herself for not being there for Amelia during her hardest time and blames Amelia for not telling her the real reason she left. Zoe keeps apologizing, but Amelia, still hurt, can't forgive her and walks away without saying a word. Meanwhile, the rest of the girls are still gathered, and Renee takes the chance to confess that she isn't a real doctor after all. Surprisingly, the others forgive her. Each girl starts feeling guilty and apologizes for her past actions. Even Saskia apologizes to everyone, reconciling with Genevieve as well. Later, at lunchtime, Teresa manages to catch a big fish, and everyone gathers to eat except Zoe, who takes some food to share with Amelia. Shortly afterward, everyone who ate the fish becomes sick, realizing it caused food poisoning. Only those who ate it are affected, and they spend the whole night ill. Becky moves between their rooms to check on them and make sure they're okay. Meanwhile, Zoe reaches Amelia, who's sitting in the storage room near the school. Zoe brings the food so they can eat together, determined to stay by her side and make up for the past. After a long, heartfelt conversation, Amelia finally agrees to forgive her, and they decide to let go of everything that happened before. Suddenly, both of them fall ill, realizing the fish was the cause. Too sick to sleep, they stay up all night talking. Amelia opens up, revealing that her mother died from depression, which is why she fears running out of her pills, terrified she'll end up like her mother. Zoe comforts her, promising she'll never leave her again. The next morning, Saskia wakes up in the principal's office to find Becky sitting beside her, watching over her out of concern. Becky reveals she had known about Saskia's relationship with their teacher, Ryan, all along, and that Ryan was not a good man. He had been involved with multiple girls, and Becky had tried to protect them by accusing those students of breaking rules, locking them in isolation to keep them away from him. She insists she only did it to protect them. Saskia, deeply moved, breaks down crying. Later, Becky gathers all the girls again and reassures them that the school's garden is full of edible plants they can survive on, and she tells them there are also chickens in the school's farm that they can make use of for food. Everyone rejoices, finally eating something they actually enjoy for the first time in a long while. Afterward, they sit together reminiscing, and each girl talks about something she did in the past that she now regrets. Saskia gets emotional and says she wishes she had walked away from Ryan before he ruined her life. Moved by her confession, the group decides to make a large picture of Ryan, pin it to a wooden board, throw it into the sea, and set it on fire. They all cheer as the image burns, united in their hatred for what he did to Saskia. A few hours later, we see Sandy, still lost at sea since the night she drifted away. When she spots Ryan's burning picture floating on the water, she recognizes the area and starts rowing toward the school. She keeps paddling until she reaches the shore right in front of the school. Everyone is stunned to see that she's alive. But Sandy is filled with rage and determined to take revenge on those who left her. She goes straight to Saskia and beats her violently until she collapses, then turns on Zoe, attacking her too. Everyone is shocked to learn that Zoe was part of the crime, especially Amelia, her closest friend, who feels deeply betrayed that Zoe never told her. Sandy stabs Zoe in the back with a knife, though the wound isn't fatal. Zoe begs the others to pull the knife out, but no one helps her. They all walk away and leave her there. Soon after, they discover that Sandy has burned all the vegetable crops in the garden to get back at them, making her a danger to everyone. The group decides to tie her up to prevent her from hurting anyone else. Surrounding her, they ask what life is like outside. Sandy tells them she found no one, no people, no towns, which means the whole world has drowned and there's no one left to rescue them. Her words devastate everyone as they begin to think about their families and what might have happened to them. Realizing there's no hope, Amelia suggests they hold a farewell party before they all die of starvation. Everyone agrees, except Zoe, but no one listens to her. They leave Sandy tied up and begin preparing for the party. Zoe goes to talk to Becky, only to find that even she has lost hope and decided to join the celebration, wanting to spend her last day happy. The girls start decorating and decide to use up all the food they have left, reasoning that since they're going to die anyway, they might as well enjoy one final meal. As a last resort, Zoe gathers all their old dresses, but in the end, they agree to attend the party wearing the school uniforms once worn by the students before them. The party begins, and everyone seems genuinely happy for the first time in months. Meanwhile, Zoe decides to visit Sandy to apologize, bringing her bag as a peace offering, hoping she'll forgive her. She leaves Sandy tied up and goes to get her some food, but when she returns, she's shocked to find that Sandy has escaped. After a frantic search, Zoe discovers that Sandy has kidnapped Teresa and plans to take her away on the boat. Zoe stops them and demands to know what's happening, then learns the shocking truth. Sandy had been lying all along. There are still other people alive. During her time away, she met a ship captain and is now pregnant with his child. She wants to take Teresa with her so she can raise the baby, knowing it's always been Teresa's dream to become a mother. Zoe is stunned by what she hears. She pulls the knife from her back and threatens Sandy, saying she'll kill Teresa if Sandy doesn't return with her to the party. The three of them make their way back, and Zoe tries to tell everyone what really happened, that Sandy lied, the world isn't over, and there's still hope for them to live. Zoe tries to explain everything as fast as she can before they finish all the remaining food and starve to death. But she quickly realizes everyone is drunk and not paying attention. She grabs the microphone and shouts into it, trying to wake them up and make them listen. But most of them are too intoxicated to understand what she's saying. The next morning, they all wake up to a shocking discovery. A large group of the girls has stolen Sandy's boat, along with every smaller vessel they could find, and escaped, hoping to find another ship or some kind of rescue. 18 days pass, and conditions worsen dramatically. Food runs out completely, and desperation drives the remaining survivors to start boiling bits of leather from shoes and eating pieces of the school's carpets. Despite everything, most of them still cling to hope that someone might come for them. Everyone except Amelia, who has completely given up. She stops eating or drinking, almost as if she's waiting for death. Zoe is deeply affected by this and tries several times to talk to her, but Amelia's depression has taken over completely, made worse by the fact that she's run out of her medication. The group begins debating what to do until someone suggests an unthinkable idea. They'll have to sacrifice one of them to survive. As horrifying as it sounds, they all agree it's the only way the rest can live. They decide to meet at night, and each girl will secretly vote for who should die. The one with the most votes will become their next meal. Zoe, desperate for another solution, goes to speak with Sandy. She's the only one who's seen the outside world and might know another way. Zoe tells her she needs antidepressants no matter what. It's the only way to save Amelia. Sandy explains that while she was adrift, she found a place called Scuba City, an island controlled by a group of people who rule over the surrounding waters. They have plenty of supplies, but they demand something in return for anything they give. She warns Zoe that they're dangerous criminals, and she should be careful if she ever tries to go there. Despite all the horrors she faced while lost at sea, Sandy admits she still wants to leave this place because she's certain no one here loves her or wants her around. She's already started building another boat and plans to leave soon. That night, the girls gather to cast their votes. The results are a tie between Zoe and Megan, so Amelia steps in to break it. But instead of choosing, she refuses to condemn anyone and walks away. Zoe, terrified for her life, reminds everyone that she's the only one who knows how to operate the radio, their only hope of contacting the outside world. Realizing this, they decide to spare her and choose Megan instead. Megan tries to argue her usefulness, but can't find a reason, so they agree she will be the one to die. The next day, they prepare to carry out the grim plan. Meanwhile, Renee decides to examine Sandy to check on her pregnancy, using information she's learned from medical books in the school's library. She performs the check carefully and confirms the baby is fine. Teresa surprises everyone by volunteering to raise the child herself, but only if Sandy agrees to stay with them and abandon her plan to leave. Grateful, Sandy accepts the offer. As the others gather to say their final goodbye to Megan, Amelia suddenly enters and shocks everyone by announcing her decision to sacrifice herself instead. She tells them to eat her so the rest can live. Megan thanks her tearfully, relieved to have another chance at life. At that moment, everyone is stunned when Zoe suddenly grabs a stick and hits Amelia on the head until she loses consciousness. Zoe justifies it by saying she did it before Amelia could change her mind. She then tells the girls to go prepare the dining room while she takes Amelia away to finish the job. But Zoe is actually tricking them. She carries Amelia toward Sandy's boat, planning to help her escape before they execute her. Amelia regains consciousness at the last moment and asks what Zoe is doing. Zoe explains everything about Scuba City, assuring her that it's a place where she can find her antidepressant pills and start over. Amelia is moved and thanks Zoe for everything she's done for her. They share an emotional moment, forgiving each other for all that's happened between them. Amelia gets on the boat to leave, but then hesitates. She realizes that once the others find out what Zoe did, they'll kill her. So she convinces Zoe to come with her and escape together. Zoe agrees, and the two set sail towards Scuba City. Meanwhile, back at the school, the remaining girls are gathered in the dining hall when they suddenly hear a crackling sound from the radio. A male voice comes through, announcing that they're approaching from the western shore to check for survivors and offer rescue. Overjoyed, the girls run toward the western beach. But when they arrive, their excitement turns to horror. The approaching ship is filled with men who clearly have no intention of rescuing anyone. It becomes obvious they're planning to take over the school and harm the girls. Terrified, each of them grabs a rock from the ground, ready to defend themselves from the invaders. The camera pans across their frightened faces, the tension rising, and the first season of Class of '07 ends there.